Hi, this is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State, and I welcome you to my free weekly video and blog featuring today casing the catalog. Once a week I case the catalog, and this is the card that I'm going to be casing. You find this card on page 178 of the annual 2021 to 2022 catalog. Let me bring up the picture. I had this open, but then I looked something up earlier. And this is the card I am imitating. So let me show you how that card, at least how I figured out that card was made. I may not be doing it exactly as they said, but you know, you just do your best. So let's start with, we'll just pour off those extras over there. It is using the Peaceful Moments and Poppy Moments dies and stamp set. And both of these are going to carry over, so they'll be here with us next year as well. And so those are the stamp sets and dies I'm going to be using. Then I'm also going to be using Crushed Curry, Daffodil Delight, and Garden Green inks, as well as for the sentiment, the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to be using Purple Posy cardstock. This is going to be going away. It's one of the in colors that ends this year. So if you want to be sure and get some of that, you might want to see about getting that ordered. Then I am also using the shimmer paper, and it's hard for me to show you in a video, but there's a shimmer to this paper, and it makes a difference when you're using it to make things because that shimmer shows through the ink and stuff. So we're going to be using some of that today as well, and I'll be explaining that. So let's just get started, and then I'll give you measurements and stuff as we go along. The Purple Posy is the base of the card, and it's a standard A2 greeting card. So it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 to make a side fold A2 greeting card. So just burnish that edge, and then it's ready to go. Layer 1 is cut from the shimmer paper, and it is 3.5 inches square. I am going to stamp the sentiment Happy Birthday from the Peaceful Moments onto that with the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm just tucking it right up into this top right hand corner, right up here. And then it's always good to set that aside and let it dry for a minute, because otherwise it will smear. Okay. Next, I punched out from Shimmer White using the background die. So we have two dies here. One that does the background of the large flower, and one that creates the detail overlay for the large flower. So those are the two we're going to be using to make this yellow flower right here. I punched it out of, with the die cut, out of the shimmer paper. And now I am going to color it, and I'm going to start with the Daffodil Delight. And I am using the water brushes. And I am using, let's see if I can find it here, the larger of the two. And you fill them with water, and then you squeeze them down and get the brushes wet, which I'm doing off camera. And then just grab the ink, and I'm just going to brush it on until I get the coverage that I want. And I'm going to kind of go in different directions just to kind of get a good coverage. This is going to warp a little bit because of the moisture. That's okay. It's going to be fine. Trust me, it'll work. So there's the Daffodil Delight, and I just used the broader of the three brushes. Now I'm going to come in with another one, another brush, and I'm going to bring in the Crushed Curry. And I'm going to brush color from the, I forgot to put my water in. There we go. From the middle out. Just, and there's no rhyme or reason to this. It's going to get covered up with the layering piece. You just want a little bit of darker coming out from the middle so that there's some shading. And you can make this as dark or as light as you want. Get some more on there. I think that's good enough. I can add a little more later on if I want to. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry as well while I explain some other things, because it's damp and I don't want to try and stick the two together while it's damp. I did that same process. I took shimmer paper and the wide brush and garden green and brushed that onto some of the shimmer paper and made some stems and some bud holders like that, and those all have that shimmer that comes through. I also used the detail die cut to take and cut out this piece that's going to go over that, and that's what's going to help make that lay flat again. And I took this piece and crushed curry and my brush, and I made this center of this darker with the crushed curry. Just like this. Just so you get some of the idea. Just like that. Because I wanted that to be a little bit darker and be more offset. And, oh, and I did that also with these three little buds. They're also cut out with the die from shimmer paper after I colored it yellow. But then I also wanted some darkness on the bases of these. So I came back with some crushed curry and my brush and added some darkness with that as well. And again, it doesn't have to be perfection. Just go for it. And trust me, it will look fine. It will look fine once you get it all put together. And all those need to kind of dry. So there they go. We'll slide those off. Then from the garden green, I didn't do anything. I just used garden green cardstock and the dies, and I cut out 2 stems and a couple of bud holders from those. And then I also have the black centers, and I cut 2 of them out, and I'm going to layer them like this. So let's do that, because that's something I can do right this minute. I'm just going to put a glue dot on here and stick this on top of that and kind of offset those little tines, and then that's ready to be used for the center of the flower. And that can actually go on here, and I'm going to do it with a glue dot as well. Just, they hold well, and I'm just going to stick it right there. So that's going to be ready to go. Now when I cut this out, I do want to tell you, it would probably be good to do it with double-sided adhesive, because then it'll be much easier to stick on here. Okay, just so you know, I didn't do that, but I would recommend it. Then we're going to do glue dots for these, and I'm just going to put a glue dot on the darker end of each one of these. They're dry enough now. And as close to the end as you can get, and then you're going to attach these, what I call the bud holders, to them, making sure you cover up that. And I think I have more than I need. I was going to use 2 dark ones and 1 light one. But you can make, of course, as many as you'd like. And I didn't get much of the darker yellow showing, so I'm going to come back and kind of touch these up just a little bit. I want a little bit more dark. There we go. And this one. There. I like those. That looks good, and I'm not going to use this one. I don't need it. Okay, so there's all my pieces prepared. Let's feel this. Feeling pretty dry. Okay. because I forgot to put my double-sided adhesive on this piece before I cut it out, I'm going to be using my Zig 2-way glue pen to add glue to this, and I'm going to be pretty generous. I want it to stick pretty good, and so I'm just gonna do this. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. Sometimes I get off screen and I don't realize it, and I apologize. Okay, there we go. And then of course there's a certain way that this will fit, so we have to figure that out. And it's pretty easy. That big indent and this big indent go together. And so then we're just going to stick that on there and press it into place and hold it and let it get good and dry. Just give it a half a minute. And there, see, like I said, it helped putting that on there, then got rid of that, most of the bow that was in that. Okay, now we're going to start building our base card. So we're going to bring our base back in, and we're going to bring back in this piece. It's certainly dried ink by now. And we're going to put this piece on with dimensionals, just regular dimensionals. And this really is a lovely card. I don't know why I didn't see it earlier in the year, but that's the way it works. And then I am going to center it from top to bottom and side to side. Just kind of guesstimate. It doesn't have to be perfection. There we go. There's that piece ready to go. Now I'm going to bring back in those glue dots, and I'm going to be putting a glue dot on the colored side of each of these stems, and I'll show you why it's on that side in just a minute as we start building this piece. Now these have kind of warped a little bit too, and when you get done putting it together, if you need them to stick down a little bit better, we can add some glue dots behind them as well. But let's just get started here. And there's one on that one. And we'll get one on this one. You can see I'm just attaching it to the stem. It's not going to show, so that works perfect. And then these ones, I'm going to put a glue dot. I might be going to use mini dimensionals on those, so let's wait a minute on those. Okay, so then I got to decide where I want the main piece to rest, and then I am going to start tucking these in behind. And the reason the sticky's on the front is I want them to stick to the flower, not to the card. So that's why I did that. And then I'm just going to build it and make sure that when I'm building it, I get these pieces so they stay within the frame of the card. And I kind of like to bring them in and possibly overlap them a little bit over each other and under each other, like they would if they were growing together out in the garden. That looks good. Now let's come this way with this one. And if I set it on there, yep, that's going to work. And let's put this one on. It's going to be a little bit different. No two cards ever the same, right? That looks good to me. Okay. I'm going to stop with that, and I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the flower. And I'm probably going to use quite a few of them on this piece. So I'm going to use them to kind of help hold those things in place. Just put them right over the top of them to help hold those stems where I want them. And we'll get lots of support in here. Okay. And we will attach this flower then to the front. And again, I got to place it so that those things stay within the confines of the card itself, and yet I want birthday to show. I think that's going to work right there. And then these, I think I did just, This one I put on, I have to kind of remember what I did. So this one, I'm going to put a glue dot on the front of the stem, like this. And I'm going to tuck it in right in here and attach it to the card. And like I say, it's going to look a little bit different. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. This one, I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the back of it, because this is raised and I want this to be raised, and I'm going to put it in a different place. I'm going to put it right here, and then it'll be raised like the rest of it. And then I've got one more to put in, and I think I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the back of that one as well, just like that. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, it can be different. Okay, so there's the basic flower. Isn't that pretty? And like I say, you can't see it because the shimmer in it, but it's there. It's very subtle, the shimmer in the background and the shimmer on the leaves and stuff. It's just beautiful. Now, this is a piece of Playful Pets Trim Combo Pack, and it has the black and white striped thread or string. And that's what I wanted for this, for the bow. And this is like about a 10-inch long piece. It's probably way longer than you need. But this is how I make my bows. I make a loop and hold it in that finger. I make a loop and hold it in this finger. And then I overlap them like an X. And it runs down through the hole that I've created. And voila. And then, of course, you just adjust the size of the loops by pulling on the base threads. And if you pull it while you're holding it, it helps get rid of those. I'm going to untie it. Try again. I don't want it to get all those loops in there. So let's start again. There, that's better. And like I say, if you hold on to this and adjust your loop while you're holding it, it keeps it from getting twisted. I kind of like that size. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit smaller. So I will adjust it to the size I want. That looks good. And of course, this is going to go on with a glue dot. There they are. We'll stick a glue dot on the back of the knot, and then we'll stick it in here where we want it, and then we will trim these so that they fit within the framework of the card. And there we have it. Now, that one wants to go outside of the card just a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. So there is casing the catalog for today using the Poppy Moments and Peaceful Moments. And I hope you enjoyed today's video.